Hey, all my Virgo friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your July 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Virgo, I'm referring to Virgo rising as dictating the landscape of the chart. You can see that as we start the month. This is on Virgo rising. This is also applicable to Virgo sun, Virgo moon. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Virgo, this video is for you as well. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone. So please adjust for your location. The month starts off with a real challenging dynamic between Mercury, which rules our everyday communications, our everyday activities, our workmates, our teammates, our neighborhoods, our communities, the way we think, the way we speak, the way we process information. And it's in opposition to Pluto retrograde at 1 degree in your 6th house. Mercury is currently in your 11th house. And the 11th house is a house that rules our hopes and our dreams. With the Cancer energy as your 11th house, this would be a real maternal, sort of receptive energy. It would, Mercury would be having thoughts of balance and healing and nourishment, meaning not just food, but how do I nourish my hopes and my dreams? And there could be something presenting an obstacle for you, which is represented by Pluto. It could be a disruption with a coworker or somebody that is integral within your everyday life that illuminates you in some way about what is a deeper truth for you. The first thing that hit me when I looked at the first day of this month was all the ones that the degrees are reflecting. The 28 reduces down to a 10, which is a 1. The sun is at 10 degrees. We have the nodes at 11 degrees. Neptune is at 29 degrees, which reduces down to an 11. Saturn is retrograde at 19 degrees, which reduces down to a 10. And of course, Pluto's at 1 degree. The ones represent thought. And when you see a series of ones, Spirit is alerting you. Your thoughts are manifesting very quickly. Are they aligned to the experiences you want to have? So this is a theme that goes on for quite some time, meaning this 11 theme throughout the month of July. So this is something I think presents a lot of opportunity, but that opportunity seems to start with some kind of disruption. As the month goes on, we will see Venus make this opposition and then finally the sun. So there's something that's going to be illuminated within our awareness. I also want to note that Saturn retrograde is making a nice aspect here to Mars in Taurus. Now, Mars is not considered in favor in Taurus. It's actually in detriment. Taurus is Virgo's 9th house of beliefs, of your philosophies, of your higher education. It's also a business house. So seeing this opposition in your 12th and your 6th house could bring some illumination about how you want to move your story forward in business that broadens the idea versus being sort of tethered to a job where you just pay your bills and you're just working for the weekend. Venus is in a beautiful trine to Saturn. And this, to me, sort of speaks to the conversations that they had earlier in the year when Venus was in Pisces and Saturn was discussing putting roots down, putting in firm templates and foundations to build upon. And this seems to echo that. We see Venus right now is at 17 degrees, which is the Leo degree. And we see that Mars is at 16 degrees, which is the Cancerian degree. So this kind of runs that theme of how am I nurturing myself? How am I receiving, or how am I processing and believing in the possibilities of my hopes and my dreams and feeling connected in a bigger way, meaning bigger than you're experiencing right now. We go to the 2nd, and Neptune has moved retrograde. This is very significant because Neptune is making a sextile to Pluto. Pluto is still in opposition to Mercury, but Neptune is also making a sextile to Uranus. I'm not really addressing the moon right now because the moon goes around the zodiac so quickly. But here, what we're seeing is the sextile is providing a favorable energy for transformation, for using your spiritual tools as you would like getting in your car and driving down the street. So you would start your day setting intentions, and this feels as if it gives an opportunity to liberate. This sextile between Pluto and Neptune is going to go on for over a decade. The sextile between Neptune and Uranus will go on for years ahead of us, maybe 4 or 5 years. As the planets move, they'll retrograde first and then move into their new houses. Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and then Uranus in Gemini. This is going to play like the background, like music in an office building. It's going to be continuous, and it's going to be urging us all to liberate ourselves through our spiritual tools and to be mindful of our thoughts, because our thoughts are literally the beginning of our manifestation of our experiences here on the earth. So this is very powerful. We also see that Pluto is making a favorable aspect to Uranus. And in no short order, Mars is going to join that trine. So this feels like an opportunity to truly liberate myself. It can also create some other things, but we'll get to that in a minute. We are on the 2nd, so Neptune has gone retrograde. This is going to go on until the end of the year, December 7th. Then it will move forward and ultimately move into Aries in March of 2025. Aries is your 8th house of transformation. So that's going to be very powerful for you in particular. We see that now Venus is at the 19th degree. So we've got this theme of ones. The sun is at 11. The moon is at 1 degree. And then we have these points over here, all indicating, again, thoughts are things. It's important to pay attention. Am I worrying? Worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you. It puts your attention and your focus in a direction that doesn't really serve you. So this is going to come into our awareness over and over and over again. On the 5th at 3:57 p.m., we're going to see a new moon in Cancer. And this is a significant new moon because it is sandwiched between 2 full moons in Capricorn. We started a process last fall around Libra season in late September, where we had 2 Aries full moons, and it changed the cycle of the moons. So we've been experiencing a full moon in the first half of the month and the new moon in the second half of the month. Now we're going to recalibrate those back, where we have the new moon in the first part of the month and the full moon in the second part of the month. This Cancerian new moon is all about nourishment, self-care, about receiving, about the things that make you feel supported and feel connected and feel a sense of home and hearth, safety and security. And it's at the 14th degree, which is the Venusian degree. So to me, this is about planting the seeds for your dreams and your hopes and the things that you want. And then recognizing that the full moons in Capricorn are illuminating any fears, trepidations, or structures that no longer serve you or have expired. They're no longer really applicable, but they could be imprints from yesteryear, going back to that example with the money doesn't grow on trees idea. So some of those old stories are going to start to break down. We see Mars is at 19 degrees on this new moon, which is again ringing those ones. The nodes have moved to 10 degrees, but we're still seeing the ones here. So this is super powerful. And Venus, while she's not in a tight conjunction, she is in a conjunction. So there will be a desire for expression of self, for connection in partnerships, for feeling more friends and more, I just want to say more love, really, Virgo. That's kind of how I want to put it. So this is a powerful moon for planting seeds for things that you will build with your heart rather than your head. Let's go over to the 11th, where we will see Venus have her conjunction or her opposition with Pluto. And this feels a little bit like it's building, meaning the first opposition with Mercury to Pluto was making me aware of my mind. Now, Venus's entry into Leo, which is your 12th house, is offering you an opportunity to really dig deep into how you're following your heart. Are you having the courage to allow joy, playtime, entertainment to be as valuable as or important as your obligations and your duties? Venus's opposition to Pluto feels very much like Pluto is saying, you're more than you know you are. And it's time to claim that and to focus on that. We see that Pluto is in a trine to Uranus, but Mars is coming up on this. I'm going to click off. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. Let me click off this. This is this growing conjunction in Taurus in your 9th house is really starting to kick up the dust. Mars has not been in Gemini for 2 years, and as it's about to move into Gemini, which is your 10th house of public status and career, there's going to be feelings of rebellion. There's going to be potential old resentments that could come up as a result of potentially the Taurus rules the family history, how your personality and your confidence was shaped by those that supported you or lack thereof as a child. And this feels very much like an opportunity to liberate myself. It also feels like Mars was in Gemini for 7 months back in 2022 and 2023. Mars had to go back and forth, being sort of put in situations where Mars had to see how he was showing up. Am I too harsh? Am I too rash? Am I, acting on resentments and anger, or am I being inspiring? Am I playing to the hero energy of Mars? And now Uranus is bringing this up even more. It feels as if it's a polarizing event. Some people will be unconscious and will act out in unexpected, angry ways, and other people will be liberated from old resentments and angers that they've been carrying with them, maybe even on a subconscious level. So I think this is really powerful. We're going to see the exact conjunction on the 15th, but this is building. And I think that the opposition between Venus and Pluto is also exasperating this dynamic, this push-pull to want to be connected, and then having to examine those that I'm connecting to, and if I am getting an even exchange of energy within those relationships. Let's go to the 15th. And now we see this exact conjunction. Again, this is super powerful. It does create a bit of challenge with that south node here, because there's old habits that I'm not aware of in my consciousness and that I act upon. And oftentimes when we see the Libra energy, there's a cooperative component that actually isn't really cooperative. It's just acquiescing my desires to another party. And then we see this half square to the north node. Really, I can't see my individuality in this situation. I can't see how this will work out. The 8th house very much involves other people and how they have power and control over us. So this day is a little bit challenging in that way. And this period of time, as these two planets are dancing together. So you're being mindful of, kind of not allowing obligations to dictate your actions, because if you endeavor something obligatory, it could end up in an upset of some kind, because you didn't really want to do it, and it's rubbing this conjunction up. It's irritating it. So be mindful during this period of time. I think that's important. Now we go to the 20th, and we see that Mars has entered Gemini. And we'll go a little later in the day. Let's try 4 p.m. There we go. This to me is, again, I talk about people who are standing in awareness and people who are just not really standing in awareness. I don't want to sound judgy of that, but this conjunction here, for those that are not standing in awareness of their choices, this is going to be a little bit tough. Now, when Mars moves into Gemini and begins approaching Jupiter, there's a feeling of speed, of everything accelerating. Gemini is your 10th house, again, of public status, of career, of how people in the public eye see you. And this exact trine to Pluto feels very favorable, but it feels favorable for individual thought, for new ideas, for things that might be very unexpected coming from the Virgo energy. And we see that square to Mercury really reflects that everyday life. People may be surprised by some of the things that you're thinking, feeling, or even doing. And I think that the idea of Virgo putting itself first is probably kind of foreign to most people. But at this point, it may serve those that you love more efficiently because you're taking care of yourself in a way that is satiating where others cannot fill that hole. That's the way I want to put it. On the 21st, we're going to see that full moon in Capricorn, which I think is so significant. That is at 3:17 a.m. And if we pay attention to the time, it reduces down to an 11. 3:17. I just laugh at this spirit sometimes. This full moon is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. 29 reduces down to an 11. This full moon conjunct Pluto, making a trine to Mars, is illuminating something very powerful for you. It is bringing up something that will allow you to unshackle yourself, to feel the depth of your heart, your emotional body, with a little less heaviness from the opinions of others. It feels like it makes a brave, bold move towards a space that creates some individuality for you, something that's yours alone. And it illuminates where potentially fear of other people's reactions has been the thing that held you back. Fear of not being valued or being perceived as just challenging in some way. It feels like this pops your eyes open, Virgo, and in a way that says, wait a minute, I've been putting this blanket of obligation on myself, and I don't know if I need to do that anymore. So we've got 3:17 a.m. reduces down to an 11. Venus at this point is 11 degrees of Leo. The full moon, the sun and the moon are at 29 degrees, reducing down to an 11. We see that, Saturn is still at 19 degrees. This is going to be about 6 weeks that it'll be at this degree. And then we have Neptune still at 29 degrees. And the purity of the 0 degree of this trine is offering a new thought, a new way of perceiving my everyday life. Your ruling planet is about to go into your first house in a day or so. And this full moon feels as if the illumination gives me a launching pad, a place to start to put my everyday wants and desires. Let's say you decide you wanted to work out, right? And you're going to get up and you're going to work out, but then all of a sudden, your kid forgets his lunch, or your boss calls and needs you in work early, and you see the phone and you think, I should pick that up. Somebody needs me, but I really wanted to get my run in. I know it sounds selfish, but run. Do half your run. Do, some of it so that you take care of you, and then you go into your obligations. Your attitude, your disposition, and how that all plays out will work much better for you than if you just drop yourself and attend to them. This square between Uranus and Mercury, and it's still a square to Mars, feels very much like this could be one of those exasperating moments when you're just trying to carve out a minute for yourself and things get interrupted. But the trine to Chiron, it just feels so powerful in your 8th house of transformation, because just taking that little bit of time before you jump into obligation for yourself could completely change the whole situation. So I think that's what's going to end up being revealed for you in that full moon. The next day, we see that the sun has moved into Leo. And this is, I'm going to move it back to 12 o'clock. There we go. And so the sun is now having its opposition with Pluto. And Pluto is having a trine with Uranus and Mars. So this, to me, the tension of the opposition is, the projection, the vitality. We feel the sun represents our ego, our drive, our ambition, the light we shine out into the world. And this opposition is, again, digging down to some deep psychological imprint that requires Virgo to be of a more dutiful energy than potentially a energy that's focused on the self. And yet I, as an intuitive astrologer, believe that if you focus on yourself and create a sense of peace and joy, you bring that into your work dynamic, into your family dynamic, into your community dynamic, and it elevates the vibration. But I don't know if you can see that on this day, because we have this quincunx to Mercury. So it's almost like, oh, well, I'll do that. Spiritual stuff needs to wait. That, I don't have time to sit and meditate. I don't have time to talk to God and the angels just before I've got to start my day. And at the same time, I think that would be maybe a little bit of a misinterpretation, that by connecting with spirit, by seeing the value of taking care of yourself and focusing in on those spiritual tools, as you would jump in your car to go drive to work. You need your car to get to work. Those spiritual tools will help line up your day so that you can take advantage of these sextiles that are going on between Pluto and Neptune and Uranus and now Mars. So that's really, really powerful. On the 26th, we're going to see your ruling planet move into your first house. And this, to me, feels as if things have gotten busy. We've got Mars planted in Gemini, and between the sign of Gemini, Mars, and the expansion of Jupiter, there feels like a lot of activity, a lot of busyness. So work could really be pulling on you, your career, how you're perceived by others could be in the forefront of your mind. And at the same time, I'm going to click on your ruling planet. The quincunx to Pluto and to Neptune are again making me feel as if you're putting yourself on a back burner, and you're putting other people and other obligations, responsibilities, duties ahead of yourself. And I think this is a little bit of a slippery slope for you, because that could be potential angers and resentments as a result of it. We see the square to your individuality and your liberation, and we see the blind spot to your spirituality and your transformation. And the moon with the square and a half on this particular day at this time could feel very challenging, as if your emotional needs are not seen, met, or even considered. And I think in order for Virgo to feel considered, your self-care demonstrates that. Again, Pluto is very much supporting your transformation. Your willingness to say, let me experiment, let me be a pioneer, let me go into new territory in my community or in my everyday communications, and let me just get what I need to get done so that it eases my mind, and then I can go into my other activities with more joy, is the way I want to put it. Let's quickly go to the end of the month. And there's this running theme again of, just being mindful of, when I look at the end of the month, planets have dispersed a bit, but there's still this energy of, what are my thoughts thinking? What am I focused in on? Because having your ruling planet in the first house is very powerful, but having this square that's been going on to Mars is conflicting with your individuality, and I think potentially creating some unpleasant feelings in you. And I would hope that you're not having a sense of building resentment because you're working so hard and you're doing so many things. There's so much going on quickly up in your 10th house that this square could very much feel, I almost feel like in this moment, Virgo feels like people think they're just a machine. You know, they just keep plugging in, giving you things to do or tasks or chores or whatever the case may be. And you're just feeling a little overloaded. And that's where I really want to go back to that Pluto idea and just sort of do something different. Just to sort of recognize that if I don't take a little bit of time to just breathe, my head might blow off my shoulders. It feels real busy for me at the end of the month. And as we go into August, I think you're going to feel even more as your ruling planet bolts through your first house. I think you're going to feel even more the thoughts, the dynamics how you want your life to be. I just feel like your thoughts are going to be very focused in on who am I, what am I, where am I going, why am I going there, am I running my life or is my life running me? That's pretty much the encapsulation I think it is for Virgo for July. And I think that the epiphanies and the revelations and the reflections that you endeavor this month will help you recalibrate in a way that feels more balance, you know, between those that you love and serve and serving yourself as an example of self-love. All right, my Virgos, that's it for the month of July 2024. My name is Teri Hunter. If you'd like to get a reading with me, my information is below in the description. I will be back in August with your monthly. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and please comment. I look forward to seeing you next month and have a great July. Bye-bye.